So next up, we're going to be looking at some examples of two-point perspective. So that means we're no longer looking straight ahead at a wall or the side of a building. We're going to be looking off to the side now. So we're actually going to be looking at the corner of a room or the corner of a building. We're still looking straight ahead. We're not looking up or down in any way. So the height of our rooms is still going to be perfectly vertical. But because we are now turned towards the side, the length and width of the rooms are going to be receding to two separate vanishing points that are on the horizon line. So our goal here is to try to find the two separate vanishing points, which will lead us to where the horizon line is. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, here we have a building here. We're outside. We are facing that corner of the building. You can see the length of the building's receding off to the left. The width of the building is receding off to the right. If we follow any of these windows here, we know they are all parallel and receding back towards that left side here. And even the sidewalk beneath it is parallel. They're all converging at a point off to our horizon, a point off to our left here. And then the width of our building is receding off to the right here. So the windows, the sidewalk, any of these lines here that are parallel to each other are receding and converging at a point off to the right all the way over here. And so we have found both our vanishing points and we know they're on our horizon line, which is here. Next up we have this chessboard here. So this one we're actually looking at an object. It's basically just a rectangular object like our cubes. And so we have the length and the width receding back on this one. If we follow the length here, we could follow the underside of this chessboard. We could also follow the top back because that's parallel. And that recedes back to a vanishing point over here. And then if we look at the right side, we could follow that seam on the chessboard. We can even follow the shadow. You can see that, or that reflection underneath the board here is also parallel, and that's receding back to a point on the right over here. And that gives us our two vanishing points on our horizon line here. Okay, so now we are in a kitchen here. This is a rather busy kitchen, but you can tell if you look all the way back at the corner of the room there, we're looking at the corner of the room. We're not looking straight on. You can even see the island right in front of us too. We're looking at the corner of that. I mean, that's just basically a large cube that's sitting right in front of us. So we have the length of that island is receding back this way. We could also follow the bottom of the island, but we could also follow the top of the room there. That wall all the way back is parallel to that island as well. So we can follow that back to that same vanishing point over here. And then for the width, we could also follow that other edge of the room where the ceiling meets the wall, or where the ceiling meets the cabinet rather, is receding back towards this other side here. And looking at the island, you can look at the seams on the island are also parallel and receding back. And there's another seam on there too. There's so many things you can look at this room, so many receding lines. You could also look at the oven or that countertop that's in front of us here. All these things are pointing back to these two vanishing points that are on our horizon line here. Next up we have this bedroom here. So one thing you want to be very careful of and always be aware of is that, remember, you're looking for lines that are parallel and receding and parallel to each other. So we know there should be two sets of parallel lines in this room because it's a square room. We're looking at the corner of the bedroom. But you have to be really careful of this wall over to the left where the fireplace is. This wall is at a different angle than all the other walls in the room. Now, you can use it to find a vanishing point, but it won't be the same vanishing point as everything else in this room. So we're going to ignore it. That's why you're always looking for lines that are perpendicular to each other. Lines that are perpendicular are going to recede to those two separate vanishing points. Just like that corner of your cube, you're looking at perpendicular lines here, the length and the width. But we want to ignore anything in the room that could be at a different angle than what most of the room is in. So we're just going to ignore that for now. Now we're looking at the corner of the room. It can be a little bit difficult when we're looking in the corner of a room because the vanishing points are actually going towards the opposite sides. So this wall here, this long wall, is receding off to the left. I know when we're looking at like the outside of a cube, we like to think of the vanishing points going out. But when we're looking at the inside corner of something, that vanishing point is going to be going in. So we have this one vanishing point that's over here to the left. You can follow also that nightstand because that's parallel to the wall. And even the bottom of this footstool here at the end of the bed is receding backwards here. So we have that one vanishing point on this side. Now the other side of the room is, we can follow that wall inwards towards that vanishing point towards the right. And then the bottom of the bed goes back to that same vanishing point. And then we have the underside of the couch is receding back to that vanishing point. So that leads us to our horizon. Now, as I said, you could follow that third wall where the fireplace is. You could follow that wall too, and it would also lead to a vanishing point that's on the horizon as well, because it is a receding set of lines, but we're just ignoring that. And so here's a tricky one here, because we're almost looking straight ahead down this hallway here, but we are just looking a little bit off to the side. So if we follow the length of this room all the way down, we can follow the banisters all the way back. You can see even the top of these windows recede back to this point on the horizon line here. But notice this is almost 1 point perspective. We're almost looking straight down the hall, but we're not quite. And you can tell by, if you look at that step, you see how that step's slightly at an angle. It's not perfectly horizontal. And the fact that's not perfectly horizontal, that means it's receding. And so we're looking at a 2 point perspective room here. So if we follow that step all the way off to the left, you can see it's going way off the page here. You can also follow the back of the room there. It's almost near the horizon, so it's nearly a horizontal line. And then the top of the room up here, the ceiling is receding back. And I said, when you have one vanishing point that's close like this, the other vanishing point is going to be pretty far away. So this is a great example. That second vanishing point is so far away we can't see it. And that's because we're only just barely looking at the corner of the room. We're not quite looking straight ahead at it. And that makes our horizon line right here. And this is another tricky one here. So this is a city corner here. We have several different streets that are receding away from us. So this one's super tricky because there are a lot of sets of receding lines on here. And this is considered a 2 point perspective because, we're not looking straight ahead at a wall. We do have that one building that's directly in front of us that we have that front face, but that building isn't actually rectangular. It gets wider as it goes back. It's more of like a triangular shaped building. So we're going to consider this more of a 2 point perspective, especially since it's going to have a lot of vanishing points in it. So what we're looking for is all the sets of parallel receding lines in here to find where that horizon line is. So this street here is going straight back. So either side of this street is receding back to a point where they converge, which is our vanishing point here. Now the street off to the right is also going straight back and converging at a point on the horizon line right here, be vanishing point 2. And then this street over here is also going straight back. So we can follow the lines of these windows in the top of the building to a point over here. And then even this building that's even close to us. This is another street that's receding backwards, but we can see these windows here. We can follow that top of that sign there. They're all converging back, or rather forward here, towards that point right here on the horizon line. So all of these are separate vanishing points. It's still considered 2 point perspective because we're looking straight ahead and because we have a lot of different vanishing points on this, but it all just leads to one horizon. And that's it. I just wanted to show you some tricky examples and some easy examples to show you what it's like to look for vanishing points on the horizon.